I'm here with my friend Holt from Lyda Fire.
Hi, I'm Holt Lyda.
Holt, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And the rumor is that you are one of the best storytellers in Atlanta.
Well, I can tell a story, indeed. Don't ask me to tell a joke, though.
And Christy and Jennifer are all about your videos you put out there. I mean, Christy was just talking about the one you did for the first day of school, which was great with Beasties and everything else. Beastie Boys, I loved it. So I'm going to ask Holt some questions about storytelling when it comes to marketing, because Holt's got a marketing agency, Lyda Fire, which is a client of ours, and I figured I'd just kind of start with the essence of a good story when it comes to a business. What does that look like for you?
Well, first off, it has to entertain a little bit. I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to be safe. I like to find clients who want to put peaks and valleys in some of their videos.
Yeah.
Where there's a hook, there's a little bit of a reason to watch. The storytelling also has to kind of evoke an emotional response, whether that be happiness, sadness, or kind of aspirational glee.
Yeah.
So we make sure we trickle some of that into a lot of our videos as well. It has to entertain though, mostly. Like a lot of the people are bored; they want to be entertained. If I'm scrolling through my social media...
Are we talking like Russell Crowe here? Are you not entertained? Like screaming at me,
yeah,
gladiator?
Yeah, you have...
Are you not entertained?
Yes, they have to be entertained. You brought it up.
I know, but I agree. And we talk about that here too. It's like, you want to get into the psyche of other people, but again, you got to do it in a fun way. And if you're not having fun, I don't feel like people are going to be engaged with it.
That's right.
Yeah. And
well,
so for me, it's thinking about others, but engaging them through having fun. It kind of sounds
that's
sexy.
Right. Fun is the easiest thing for marketers. To be dramatic or scary, not a very good marketing tactic.
Yeah. A friend of mine once said, and I'd love to get your take on it. He said, if you're not, repelling or attracting when it comes to your stories or your marketing, then it's not good.
That's right.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Really? Okay.
I think I would love a client who wants to scare their audience a little bit. They're hard to find. I did it once with a client, and they canceled the entire project. But we, in turn, turned it into one of our best pieces. It's our fight video. If you have a chance to check it out, it's a fight video.
Cool.
There's a software company that didn't want it, but they approved it. They approved the script, the storyboard, even the casting calls, and it became a little too engaged, too violent for them. It was a fight video in an office.
Interesting.
But anyway, so yeah, that was the one case where a scary video did not necessarily work out. But for us and our brand, it was right. We turned it into this really kind of wild and raucous moment of kind of like an airplane moment. It's a lot of humor involved.
Yeah. I've always wanted, and we haven't done it, but I've always wanted to do like a spoof on Office Space.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
And I always envision, the Bobs interviewing the guy with the stapler. Not the stapler guy, but the guy that did the step, what's their next step kind of pad, but he's asking them, what exactly do you do here? And he's going, well, I interact with the customers. And he's like, well, I got to understand, why don't the customers just interact exactly with the engineers? And like, I've always envisioned like spoofing that somehow within Office Space, because we do Office Space.
Right.
But I'm afraid that would scare people. It's
That's
okay.
Right.
It's okay.
The repel or attract is true.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion, in the last 16 years, I've been of the opinion that not everybody should be our client.
Interesting.
And to me, some people who don't have a good sense of humor, I'll work with them, but where we really get great vibes is when we're all on the same page in terms of humor. How far do you push that envelope? Are you willing to take risks?
Yeah.
And the business world is risk averse. So,
That's true.
Finding that happy medium of risk and safety is important. Like when I changed my name, I changed my name after college.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. My real name's Ryan Holt Lyda.
Okay.
And I changed it after college because I saw that Holt was out of respect for my mom and her family, but it was also it looked good on paper. I was a font guy.
Yeah.
And the HOLT has more strength than RYN, and it looked better. And it's 4 letters on top of Holt Lyda. I said, that's right. But people told me I was an idiot. Like, what are you doing? And so to me, I understand the idea of like you're either attracting or repelling. Some people, if you make big decisions, the risk is worth the reward is worth the risk.
Yeah.
And so in truth, I would say that a lot of my early success came from just that simple name change. Like it was Not really. All
Yeah, but I get that though.
But like, it was important. It was a brand, and I was building the brand I knew that my name could stand on.
That's cool.
That's
awesome.
That is awesome. You have to take risks, and so I'm a big fan of that.
Okay, talk to me about the consistency. You know, you've talked about Gary Vee and being consistent and everything else. Give me some ideas behind being consistent with the story. So you're telling a story about your brand, your company. What does that consistency kind of look like?
Well, it's for my brand. It's always been one where we're ultra creative and always red. We have one brand color, CC 4 zeros, but in terms of consistency for our clients, there's not a lot of room for errors for the bigger brands.
Yeah.
For a younger brand, they're going to be willing to take more chances. And in the beginning of a smaller brand's existence online, they can take some chances. They can play with some of their brand identity, but I'm going to try to keep them corralled.
Yeah.
I think your core assets of your brand should remain the same. I'm a little bit of a purist on that regard.
Okay.
But your campaigns can vary. You could have one micro campaign that's kind of wild and woolly, another one that's safe, and then the other one's just straight product and benefits of your services. I think there's room for your wild and woolly stuff. I think your existing customers will appreciate it, and then for the safety stuff, you give to your potential customers. If I were to just kind of play it safe.
Okay.
So if you're getting to micro-targeting online, I would say that you should pay attention to different campaigns for different audiences.
All right, and so
but being consistent with your brand identity and the way you close it.
Right. So when you're working with a client, are you coming in and saying, okay, here are 6 things we're going to do, or here are 10 things? Like, how does that work for you?
That's the ideal scenario. Most clients are coming to us with, we need a brand identity piece that's really going to talk about our product and our service and the 2 or 3 sub benefits of all of it. It's a very packaged deal. Mm-hmm. And that's very much a 20th century mode of creating a brand piece. What I'm trying to do is bring the Gary Vee approach, which is high consistency, multiple topics covered, a little bit more shining a light from inside the brand to show the people and the humans behind the brand. So it becomes more real for the viewers. It's not just, here's our trophy brand piece. You need it. You got to do that.
Right.
But people, I think I'm trying to encourage people to get out there and do a little bit more what you're doing, which is showcasing what you believe in, your culture, your identity, your values, and it is the humans behind the product and the brand that are powering the companies. And as tech companies, they kind of forget about that, believe it or not. You would think that
tech companies have led
a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if a lot of tech companies, just even the best, brightest marketers aren't necessarily putting the flashlight on who their teams are. And so to me, that's the lowest hanging fruit. If you're out of things to say, start talking about what your employees are doing and the products they're building.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
So to me, it's a multi-pronged approach. Most people just put that trophy out there and hope that the fish are going to bite.
Yes.
I think you have to go fishing all day long with multiple rods for metaphor.
And we were talking about it too. For me, I don't feel like companies take enough of a long-term approach to it.
Right.
You know, you mentioned Star Wars, you mentioned Harry Potter, and these stories evolved over time. Yeah. I don't feel like people are like, I want the trophy piece and that's it.
Right.
You know?
It works sometimes.
Right.
But it's risky. I think your audiences, your customers existing want to hear from you. They want to see that you care. And in fact, if Lucas had stopped at Star Wars, there would have been another series that comes along and does a 4 or a 3-part trilogy.
Yep.
Because we're only counting the first 3 because the rest of the 4 don't count. You know?
Very true.
But if he had just stopped with the 3 after Jedi, I'd been fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the point is though that consistency of messages and those interesting stories became a bigger whole. It became a religion in some ways.
It did. It did.
I mean, people literally are nuts about Star Wars and Harry Potter and those trilogies and whatever they're called with past 3.
Yeah. Quadruple. I don't know. We're just 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They become a big story. The brand. It becomes a message that people can adopt. And all a story is a vessel that travels through time that you can touch.
Yeah.
And it can either make you reinforce what you believe, or it can change your mind. And so our job is to make sure that A, we're reinforcing their existing customers' beliefs, and B, luring in the new ones and saying, maybe I should give them a chance. And that little that's what we try to get. That little moment that we wake them up and make them think about our product.